Well within any fan's budget. Sales of his albums have skyrocketed overnight. Local stores like Record City spent the day selling his collections and filling online orders.
I was quite a bit surprised at all the interest. I mean, just overwhelming interest. And our first indication was on our eBay store when our Michael Jackson started selling like hotcakes.
Amazon.com says sales of Jackson's CDs have jumped sevenfold and are accounting for 60% of all their music sales. And on iTunes, Jackson's work represents 13 of the top 20 items. Friends of the pop star say he might have made Las Vegas his home one day if he'd lived. A local record producer and promoter who worked closely with Jackson shares some of his favorite personal memories of Michael Jackson. Allison McCarthy joins us now with more about the Michael Jackson most people never knew.
That's right. And because Michael Jackson guarded his personal life so closely, some of the stories we're now sharing are being told publicly for the very first time. Friends who respected his need for privacy while alive now seem to really want the public to know just how unique and special Michael Jackson was.
Here's a picture, actually, that I took when I was with him at Neverland Ranch.
A rare candid photo of the king of pop enjoying life at home one day.
Soft-spoken and a very humble and a loving human being.
Las Vegas musician, songwriter, and record producer John Dote first met Michael Jackson in the late 80s in San Francisco when father Joe Jackson hired him to promote Michael's Bad album.
He's the one who gave me that record. Michael gave me that record.
For the next several years, Dote worked and even socialized with both Janet and Michael.
He loved to shop, and he loved his mother.
Dote remembers one Mother's Day when he accompanied Jackson to a Rolls-Royce dealership to buy his mother a $180,000 white Rolls-Royce.
He pulled up in the driveway, he honked the horn, said, "Mom!" His mother comes out and says, he goes, "Happy Mother's Day." She says, "I don't like that color."
So, Dote says he and Michael immediately exchanged the white Rolls for a red one and tried again.
And we tied a bow on the hood, and she fell in love with the car.
Dote says Jackson set the bar so high in the music industry that he's still influencing artists today, including himself.
Everything that I do has a little piece of them somewhere.
This is Fox 5 News at 10, local, Las Vegas.
Empire took on Sin City for its season finale, and coming up, I talked to an industry expert to see what it's like to make music here in Las Vegas.
Well, it's officially a wrap on Empire Season 4, and they certainly packed a lot of drama in for the season finale.
Shoved it all in there. Tonight we set out to find out if real life lives up to what we see on TV in the music industry. Anyway, Fox 5's Abby Tedros is live on the Strip. She talked to music producers.
That's right, I talked to two music producers who make music here locally, and they both tell me that what you see on TV is actually a little less dramatic than what happens in real life. They tell me that they've seen the backstabbing, lying, and abuse throughout the years. One producer in particular told me he used to make and promote music in San Francisco, but had to leave when the drug abuse became excessive for him. He says he got a fresh start in Las Vegas, but won't forget the lessons learned.
Getting into this business, as far as drama goes, sure, you have your setbacks in recording and everything, but once you are fortunate to take the next step and get signed with a major record label, you're actually signing your name in blood. Literally signing your name in blood.
So he says his best advice for up-and-coming artists: don't sign a record deal and try to build your career as an independent artist. He says, yes, it's pricey, but it is worth it. He also says that during his time working as a producer, he was able to work with both Janet and Michael Jackson in the late 80s and early 90s, and that was one of the high notes of his career. He also told me both artists were great to work with, and he says, while there are some lows, there are definitely more highs in this career, especially when it comes to making music and sharing that with people who are just as passionate about it as you. Reporting live, Abby Tedros, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
Capacho.
Good, what's good? This 1K TV. and I'm here with a very important man. I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
John Dote from Las Vegas Recording Studio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're gonna jump into a few quick questions about you, Mr. Dote.
Before you ask, I gotta say you're a dynamite talent, man.
Thank you so much.
Very
man.
crisp and clean, to the point, and you're fast.
Yes, sir.
In fact, I lose money off of you because you're so damn fast.
I appreciate that really a lot.
Okay. So the first question's gonna be, what first got you into music?
My father was head of MCA Records for 20 years. My uncle was head of Warner Brothers for 13 years. And back in the 80s and the 70s, they discovered some big hit groups. Probably you wouldn't know them, but the Doobie Brothers. They had the hit Listen to the Music, Tower of Power, Lulu. They did the movie To Sir with Love, starring Sidney Poitier. So I grew up as a child in the Warner Brothers and MCA record label studios, just like what you see here. And I would go into the studio, and I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, and I would always go behind the mixing board and unplug something or short something out. The engineers would go, man, get the hell out of from back there. But that's how I learned. I saw the equipment, how they wired it up. So as I grew up, I started getting my own recording equipment and everything, and I just matched what they had, and that's how I built up. So I learned how to work it, made all my mistakes and everything, and got to a point where now today I've got the #1 recording studio in all of Las Vegas, with more reviews than any other studio in the country, and knock on wood, I'm proud of that.
Yes, sir. That's awesome.
Now, if you could change anything about the industry, what would it be?
Take the swear words out of hip hop, talk about what's going on right now, get rid of all the slang words and all that, clean it up, and most of all, like what Eminem does. I like when you guys do a rap, but then you bring in a chick singer and you add a hook to it with their singing, and it's a nice big hook section that just drops you dead because of the hook, and then go back to the rap. So I like it when you do like 8 verses of rap, then come in with a hook, like bring a chick in, maybe she'll do a double, she'll sing a melody that actually is a hook that makes the record even better than the original, better than just the rap. So if I could add my input, I would go with what I just described, like what Eminem does. That's why he's like the tops, because he knows how to bring in the right artists to fill in the gaps.
Right.
Okay? Like where you're just doing a rap all the way through, that's all cool. But like some point in your song, you want to just break it up and come in with like an 8-bar hook and then go back to the rap again.
Right.
That's what I'm really, but clean it up. You don't have to use swear words to sell a record. You know what I mean? So that's what I would do if I could.
Okay. And we would like to know, what is your creative process like?
As far as
your music, what would you say, like, that you describe which you do?
Well, I went through the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010. Here we are in 2020. So I've really watched the whole industry change. I remember Blondie, which is a blonde-headed girl. I don't know if you guys remember Blondie. She was actually doing the first rap back in the 80s, and when she started rapping in a rock record, it wasn't rap, but she started doing this rap stuff on the rock music. I thought that's pretty interesting, and I'll bet you 1,000 rappers picked up on that. They couldn't sing like she could, and they couldn't rap like she did, but a lot of people picked up what Blondie did. So I got to give her credit really for starting the foundation of creating rap with music, but then it crossed over from her rapping to rock music, then came hip hop. Actually, there's a guy named Duffy, a black dude, who I met in LA. This was back in the 80s. And he flew me down to LA from San Francisco, picked me up at the airport, took me to his little dungeon dive office. And he had all these vinyl records that he did. And he actually was the first guy to invent rap. He's from Brooklyn, New York, and rap really was invented in Brooklyn, New York. That's where it came from. So he played me this stuff, and he told me, I go, what is this stuff? What do you call this? He calls it, this is before hip hop, he called it rap. And he just looked at me and said, John, one day this is going to be the market. And I go, yeah, right, okay. And sure enough, 10 years later, it hit big, and it's been strong. We thought after 7 to 10 years of rap and hip hop, this stuff's going to die down. No way. Right now in 2020, it is the biggest industry in the world. It actually is bigger than rock, bigger than punk rock, bigger than jazz, bigger than top 40, bigger than pop. And another thing about it is I like it when they include pop and top 40 into the hip hop, because that makes it cross over. Yeah. The white kids buy it, the black kids buy it, the Asians, the Mexicans, everybody buys it. And I hope that answered your question.
Oh, yes, it did.
All right.
Okay, and who would have been your favorite, well, who was your favorite person to work with?
Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson.
Of course.
They are the two most humblest people. When you talk to Janet or Michael, and I said, Michael, how's it going today? He's, oh, it's really good today. I go, huh? It's really good today. Janet, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. But when you put him on stage, bam!
Big stuff.
The baddest performers you'll ever see. Michael is, nobody could ever compete with that. And I promoted his record, the Bad Album, brought it to the charts because back in the 80s there was a lot of controversy about him with children's sexual molestation and all that, okay? So his record sales declined because of that. He was getting all the bad publicity. So his father, Joe Jackson, approached me and said, John, can you help us with this record? And I had the biggest contact in San Francisco who was head of Billboard magazine. He gave me $30,000 to take Janet and Michael and get their record in Billboard, which I did. And it started to turn around. And you know what really offends me is, now that he's dead, there's more controversy on all that sexual molestation. Now he's got more bad publicity than ever before. And because of it, his record sales since he died has outsold anything that he did when he was alive. So he's big.
One last question. Now, what would you be doing if it wasn't for your music career?
Oh, what would I be doing? Gosh, I probably would have been in the mafia by now.
Oh, God.
Coming from the Bronx, my uncles were all in it, so if it wasn't for the music that led me down the right way, you know, my mother took me and my brother out of the Bronx when we were young because my uncles were all in the mafia, and I went to my brother and I said, I want to be in the mafia. And he went and told that to my mother. My mother got scared shitless out of her pants. And she took us out of New York, brought us to California, and got me my first drum set, gave me piano lessons. My mother groomed me to be who I am today.
That's great.
So without the music, what would you be doing without music? You know what I mean? I mean, I could flip that coin right over now. Who would you be without music? Who would any of us be without music? So music is the fuel that ignites the world. It's a great thing because when you're writing a song, you know, it's like writing a mini motion picture. You're talking about your life, what's going out on the street in the world, this COVID-19 and everything. So without music, you couldn't really tell a story. You would have to either write a book, make an article in a newspaper, and musical is the best tool to get yourself out, to express who you are, and people can relate to you, and that's why records sell. Because people are not capable of putting in words what you guys put into words. So you are the ones that fuel the industry. I wouldn't be anywhere without it. Like I wouldn't be anywhere without you.
True that.
If I didn't have a studio and I didn't have you, we wouldn't have each other. What would we both be doing?
Exactly.
Smoking a blunt.
Doing something other. Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, we're here at 1K TV. We appreciate you, Mr. John, for
It's a
real.
pleasure.
We wish you the very best, and we are very grateful to have you
Likewise.
speak with us. And here at 1K TV, we always keep it 1 key Z.
Keep it 1K.
I'm on 1K TV, folks. Stay tuned. More to come. John Dote, Las Vegas Recording Studio.
C-O-D-R-E-D, switch the code on me. Can't get caught up in these streets, niggas told on me. Through your block at night, one deep with the doors open. Never losing my focus, won't let no nigga hold me. C-O-D-R-E-D, switch the code on me. Can't get caught up in these streets.
Music business is the toughest business, as anybody knows, to succeed in it. And I've had my fair share of ups and downs. And the thing about music is everybody fantasizes about becoming a star without living the reality of being one. And they have no idea what it's like to be a star. And I know because I've worked with a few of them. And in fact, I brought a picture here of one of the biggest stars that, I ever promoted was Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately?
If this painting for the new record album, Hooked on Themes, looks familiar, that's because it's the work of fantasy artist Alonzo Smith, who was my guest earlier this year on Creature Features. But right now, let's meet the masterminds, the wunderkinden behind Penthouse Records, which just released this new album featuring numerous TV themes. Well, first we have John Dote, who has produced records for Capitol, RCA, and Columbia, and who was involved during his long period in Hollywood with the production and recording of many, many TV themes. And this is my old pal, right next to him, Pete Marino, a one-time Hollywood publicity man for Columbia Studios, a former executive for Warner Brother Records, and soon to be the host of his own Bay Area TV show, Move Over John Stanley. John, what exactly was your involvement with the TV themes?
Well, actually, I played drums on them. I was a studio drummer, and I also helped with the arrangements and the productions. And I took on themes, and most of these themes that I've been involved with the producers, original producers, and we went into our own studios and we redid them and produced and arranged them ourselves.
It was a very rough one, coming from the Bronx, New York, and it was tough growing up. I took a lot of licking, took a lot of punishment, but I think that's something we all go through,
John is his presence. He just epitomizes Las Vegas. He's an entertainer. He wears a lot of good flashy clothes and has a good band behind him right now. And so I want everybody to get up to the Royal Casino and hear it. Let's go ahead and play Gypsy Jane, and let's see if we can get John on the phone and get him on the air, and let's talk to him.
We have Gloria right here and Gary Poole. They are American Bandstand Dance Champions, United States. Welcome to the show.
Brother and sister, single.
Brother and sister and single.
Not married.
Not married. Well, we'd like to talk about it after the show, huh? No, Gary, why don't you just let me know how you met this guy right here?
You really want to know?
Yes.
No.
You were selling gold. No.
Selling gold.
Memorial Day weekend, by the way. Yeah, Memorial Day weekend it is, and of course, since nobody has to go to bed tomorrow night, and we can all just sit here and enjoy, and you're not going to bed tomorrow night, or tonight, rather. Tonight. What are you going to be doing tomorrow?
Sleeping.
All day?
All day.
You're not going to be watching television?
Not till Sunday night.
And you're going to be sleeping alone?
This is Sunday night. Wait a minute.
You're going to be sleeping alone?
I'm going to be sleeping all day today till I get here tonight.
Like when I'm with Janet Jackson, she doesn't dress up and look all famous and everything other than her famous face, But even when I walk down with her and I'm standing next to her, everybody looks at me and stands around me. The media stands around me just because they want to get a picture of this guy wearing, with this guy wearing $100,000 worth of jewelry. That's important to them. It's important to them for their friends to see them standing next to me.
But
so isn't San Francisco a great place to be, though?
San Francisco's great. The Golden Gate Bridge and driving
Bay
over the
Bridge.
hills.
Yes.
The foothills of the headlands and
The crook of the street. I took my rolls down the crook of the street. I had my rolls all tuned, brakes done and everything. And like a dummy, I went and took it down the crook of the street.
Lombard, 5 miles an hour. You know how that can get, folks.
And I did a big Broadway appearance. I went to Broadway and just appeared in all the clubs and everything. And it was just, we had just a fantastic time.
Really, when you stand on your head, people do look twice.
Yes. But anyway, Dave, I am definitely looking forward to doing some more shows with you.
Well, it's great to have you, John. I'm sure the gang out there loves it too. The music's out there. You can find it all. Again, here he is, the new album, and A Hero from Zero. And he sure is a hero. And the guy's got a lot of talent, and he's going to go places. So you stick around, watch Free Admission, and you never know who's going to show up here. And remember, you don't have to pay to watch Free Admission, so don't complain, okay? See you in a few minutes.
I've known you for a long time. In fact, I first met you when you had a group called Frozen Smoke. And you did a gig for us for the Academy, the Television Academy. And then I had you on a show at the Paramount Theater in Oakland with all the bodybuilders, biggest bodybuilders in the world, when you did your, it was called, what was the name of the May I Have This Dance, right, which is now the theme for This Is San Francisco.
Right. Well, actually, when we did it back in 1976 at the Paramount Theater, that was one of the best shows that I have ever been involved with. And of course, she put the show on, but the cast of stars with Franco Colombo and Nathan LeBlanc and a lot of the top big bodybuilders that were around for a long time that are still around. You see them on Wide World of Sports. It was a great pleasure for me to work with them, and we did the theme May I Have This Dance. Now that was a disco era, Pete. Now the reggae sound is in, so we've got it done in a reggae sound, and I changed it because I actually wanted to dedicate the song to you. You were the one that really gave me the break back then under a different name, and it was just really neat that we could switch and come back with a whole new sound, different name, and still with your company pushing the record, it's really
well, you're a super talent, and your new album, Shake, it's dynamite. You see, we're doing other things too with you too. We're also going to do a thing called the making of a record, which we're going to take people right back from the beginning, how it first starts, all the way through in the making of a record. And what's funny is because your first song, Shake, which we did, and is on the show. We did it with your full band with horns. I mean, just a big sound.
Yeah.
And yet we're way ahead of ourselves. We weren't ahead of ourselves, but we weren't in today's bag.
Right.
And now you're going back into the studio and what? You're redoing the whole thing?
Well, we're going to redo the whole sound because actually I did the sound 3 years ago with Toto. Toto's a well-known group. They walked away with 6 Grammy Awards last year. So now the sound has changed. The new wave is coming back. It's going back to the 60s again because that's really where all the trends and the legends were set in that time. And kids today want to know what happened then in that time because you hear all the time Beatle interviews on radio stations across the country, and kids today, 15 years old, don't know who the Beatles were, so they're bringing that sound back because that was the most successful time period that our industry has ever gone through. Mm-hmm. And I broke out in the later part of the 60s, and so everybody cashed in. It was just the elevator floor. Then the 70s went dead. Well, now we're back to the 80s again, and the sound is changing, so that's why, like on Hooked on Themes, I took the sound of these themes like the Untouchables that the kids today are not familiar with. Well, now they can hear what the sound was then and what the sound is now because these shows are all currently airing.
Well, the stuff on it that you did, I mean, it's so classy, and like we went all out on Hooked on Themes with even the cover by Alonzo Smith, which his paintings are in the gallery on Sutter Street, and his paintings go for like $40,000-$50,000, and here he put it on our cover.
I was very fortunate to have Alonzo do this. I mean, Alonzo's a hell of an artist himself, and he's got the most classiest paintings ever painted by anyone, and I was definitely honored to have his cover on mine, which, thanks to you, this cover of my choice was put on.
And this is volume 1. We're also going to be doing volume 2 and 3.
Yeah, we'll be doing volume 2 and 3, and on volume 2 and 3, I'll be doing some of the other themes that I've done in the past, like Jaws and Rocky and MASH and Chips. and we'll be redoing them just with the sound of the 80s like we did with Hooked on
And I hope
Thieves.
we'll be having Alonzo with the covers on. Okay, John, thanks a million.
Thank you, Pete.
And now stay and listen to some of the good hits that John Dote has done on Penthouse Records.
Love it. I
Okay,
just love
hang
it.
on.
John says,
We're gonna-
John here says I'm his biggest fan.
What's that? That's a medallion.
Beautiful medallion.
Gold medallion, Lincoln head.
Yeah.
You're all out of tune.
Do your impression of Lincoln.
How? Welcome back to Night Beat in Las Vegas. I'm John Dote. Well, my producers have asked me to demonstrate to you how I get dressed before we hit Diz's Lounge here at Maryland Parkway from the entertainment capital of the world. And they asked me to show you how I spend an evening by putting on my jewelry and what it takes me, because I do this every single day, and I guess it's stirring up some controversy. So I thought, okay, why not? I'll do it. So they asked to time this, if we could get you guys to time this. I begin my evening by putting on a 22 karat gold, solid that is, 85-foot long gold chain. Begin timing this, guys, because this is exactly how I begin my evening. When I dress up, I put on my chain just like so. And coming up later on the show is my co-host, my kissing cousin arriving from Portland, Oregon, Charmaine Sarvis. And my other co-host, Michelle Renee, is asleep still, so we don't want to wake her up. I'll have to talk to her and find out exactly why she's asleep. Anyway, this is what's going on. This looks like a Mr. T starter kit, I know. But it isn't, because Mr. T wears a lot more than I do. He's a lot bigger of a guy, too. This is about 12 and a half pounds when I put all 85 feet on. So now we just have to fasten it. Now I'm doing this as quickly as possible. Don't want to spend too much time doing this. And we continue with the other piece. All right. This is getting to be interesting here. Maybe I might set a record. Now, this is the longest chain in the world, by the way. Mr. T's are separate pieces. This is all one, divided into 42 and a half. What's half of 85, Jim? 42.5? Exactly, that's it. Okay, so we're getting towards the tail end here of this beautiful 22 solid gold carat French rope chain from France. And we fasten it. And that's what it looks like. Now, to top it off, here is a gold medallion given to me from the famous Caesar's Palace here in Las Vegas, which is located right on the Strip. And this is a beautiful piece. And I just lay it right on top of all my other gold chains, just like so. How much time are we into it so far now, Jim? 2 minutes and 30 seconds is what it's taken me so far to put on my jewelry. Now, here's a ring given to me by one of the most famous stars in the world, Liberace. Now, this is an agate stone. It is the largest piece in the world without the grand piano. And as you can see, as an agate stone, it's beautiful in color. It's brown and has a lot of sparkle to it, a lot of shine. And I wear it right there. And it's very sentimental to me because it was given to me by, of course, a legend, the great Liberace. Also, on that same hand, I wear this 12 oval-shaped diamond gold clustered ring. And this is a beautiful piece. It's valued at about $5,000. This is valued at about $4,000. And that's my pinky ring. I wear it right there. Next, on that same hand, I wear this ring, which was designed for me for a special occasion. It was a promotional thing that we did for Janet Jackson's record, What Have You Done For Me Lately, which won a couple awards at the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco. And this reminds me of that occasion. And all these rings definitely have a sentimental value as far as they represented a very important time in my life. And to finish off that hand, I never go anywhere without my good luck piece. This is a Buddha bracelet, which is given to me by my partner, Edith Turner. This is a very beautiful piece. It's surrounded with stones and diamonds, and it's a very real bracelet. And I could think of other places that it would fit, but it fits best right on my wrist. Now for the right hand, let's see, we begin with this $60,000 8.5 carat ring, which I had designed. I had a hit record in the past, and well, with the money I went out and made an investment. Man, what can I say? This is a beautiful ring. I love it. People love it, and it's a part of me, and it's also sentimental value because of the record. Next to it, I wear this 5 pesos ring. Now this ring I got in Mexico at about $6,500. It weighs about 49 grams. It has 2 red rubies, and it's dated 1955, the year that I was born, in case you're keeping track. And it goes right there next to my oval-shaped diamond ring. And next to that, also from Mexico, is this beautiful fire opal ring, and it's orange. And it has, as you can see, the castles on there. Isn't that beautiful? Castle all the way around with the pillars with diamonds engraved, mounted into it. And it's beautiful, and I wear it right next to my coin ring. And then for my pinky ring, to balance it off, I wear this beautiful quartz stone ring, which was once a necklace piece. As you can see, it's got the little hook there. It used to hang from the neck, but I attached the ring to it, and I added diamonds, and the ring is valued at about $15,000. This opal is valued at about $1,500, so you can see the difference. And it is a beautiful pinky ring, and it's shaped like a D for Dote. Yeah, all right. And that just balances out my right hand. It looks like a pair of brass knuckles, but I would never use them that way. And next, my favorite piece of jewelry, this beautiful diamond bracelet. It's got over 400 diamonds in it. This is worth about $60,000. And I saw this sitting in a jewelry store, and my girlfriend thought that I should have it, so she shelled out 60 big ones and bought it for me. And this was purchased in Palo Alto, California, and I wear it on my right wrist. And that's what I look like on my way to an evening at Night Beat from Las Vegas.
Trap Radio Show and Podcast. I'm here with John Dote. What's going on?
I'm having a great time, Billy. It's great to see you guys coming all the way from Atlanta.
Yeah, man.
Las Vegas recording studio. I gotta say, D-Lo's a bad talent, man. We created a nice beat, and that thing's gonna kick off.
Well, let's go. Let's just kind of talk about who you are, and then we can lead into that, because that's going to be a big record. You know, we came down here and created a big record with you, John Dote, and D-Lo. So don't look, observe. Just understand, we from Atlanta. We in the West Coast, and I just want to make sure people got a chance to understand what really happened tonight. It was some magic that just happened tonight. And I know you get that kind of magic when you're working with like Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, people like that, right?
Yeah, it's quite a rush, I gotta say, man, because these people, Michael and Janet, they were like the most soft-spoken people that you ever could work with. And you know, when you talk to them and you said something to them, they would actually, you would have to get close to them and go, "What did you say, Michael?" And you go, "Yeah, you know, I'm working on a new record called Bad." But when you put them on stage, it's BAM! Yeah, it's lights out, baby.
Still on front line, gonna get mine, nigga, big bad nigga. When it's crunch time, going big time, can't sit still, nigga. So go ahead and run it up, go ahead and run it up, yeah. Go ahead and run it up, go ahead and run it up, yeah. Go ahead and run it up, go ahead and run it up, go ahead and run it up, yeah. Go ahead and run it up.
Trap Wars Radio Show and Podcast. I'm here with John Dote, and one thing that was on my mind, I needed to really ask you this question is, how did you go from being like doing the promotion side, like, you know, as an executive in the promotion side, like, you know, being I guess a VP of promotions or whatever position you was,
and getting into engineering,
and then going into engineering, like, I mean, how did you end up doing that?
Well, my father worked with MCA Records. My uncle worked with Warner Brother Records, And I learned that you can be an engineer and a producer, but what are you going to do with it afterwards? And that's what I learned by my relatives being in the record industry, is where do you go after you produce the record? That's how I got involved with the both.
All right, so I just want to really discuss you as you know, doing some big projects, and just tell us what's the steps that, you know, an artist in Atlanta or any Alabama or New York that want to come and do work with you, how are we going to work that?
Well, first of all, they should go through you. Your name is known as Billy Badass of what's your award show that you have?
The Trap Music Awards.
Trap Music Awards. And you should give them your number, your contact number, and then you review the product, because since you were here and you worked with me and saw the beats and how I produced, you can tell by listening to the artist and the beat how you can get them over here and how I can recreate the track and improve them, just like I did with D-Lo, who's from Atlanta and an excellent talent. So they should contact you first, and then you can forward it to me, and if I like it, then we can move forward and fly them in, whether they're in New York, San Francisco, LA, but they should go through your organization, because after all, you've got the award show and you're looking to give awards to the new up-and-coming artists, and that's where I come in.
Well, you know, we definitely want to commend that, working with the youth, but we also work with, you know, making sure that we award some of the top talent. But one of the things that you didn't get into, you have some gold records on the walls.
I do.
And beyond that part, you also the records, explaining them how the records really went platinum, but you know, you got the gold plat. So explain that to them.
Well, I was approached by Capitol Records, Penthouse, Warner Brothers, MCA, Universal, on promoting their big name acts. It could have been a Elton John, it could have been a Britney Spears, it could have been a Michael Jackson, and many of these records I may not have liked, but because of their name, I assumed the responsibility of saying, I'll take over the promotion, and I reassured the record label that I was going to be in charge, just like I did with D-Lo. D-Lo walked in here, he had one idea, but I threw my ideas out, and there was 4 of you versus me, and you guys all fell in love with it. That's what it took for me to convince a record label, the same thing. And so in the end, just like you guys were all dancing tonight, I had the presidents of MCA and Warner Brothers and Columbia. They were all dancing when I said, I'm going to make this a hit, and I did. And that's how I earned these awards. In Las Vegas, coming to you from the entertainment capital of the world, fabulous Las Vegas. You're watching Nightbeat. We are the first to break the biggest hits of today and tomorrow, and we've got one of those big hit groups right now on our show. They're called Stir, and they're on Capitol Records. Gentlemen, say hello to your fans in Las Vegas.
What's up, Vegas? Hello, fans in Las Vegas.
I lost so much money last night.
That's terrible, but you're making more than he's losing, and that's great. Now, you guys have been together for about how long now?
It's been about 6 years, this band.
About 6 years, and where are you originally from?
St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri, and tell us, how did you get started in the music business?
We started playing for no money, driving 200 miles, and maybe got a free pizza if we were really good that night.
I swear this sounds like a rerun. And how long have you guys been touring on the road, you know, nationally?
For the first record, we toured most of 96 and 97 and took a little break, and we're back at it since the beginning of this year.
And you guys got a new hit record right now called New Beginning, and I'm featuring the video on my show, and we are the first, if not in the country, in Las Vegas to air it. And you're going to see this interview on UPN Channel 25 Thursday at 5 a.m. Now, just for our groups out there that are looking to make a start, can you give us a little background on how new groups, up-and-coming groups, can get a start?
Get in the van, drive, and play your butt off. That's it. That's the only advice I have. Write good songs.
That's right. That's the key, writing good songs. And who writes the songs in the band?
Andy writes probably majority of the songs, and Kevin and I contribute for a couple on the record.
And, you know, I was talking earlier with you guys, power trios in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, like the Hendrix Experience, like the Cream. There's not too many of those groups around anymore, and now here you guys are back, and it takes a hell of an arrangement and good talent to just narrow a band down to 3 guys and create a sound and a hit record. How do you guys do it?
Well, we like to think that we make a lot of noise for 3 guys, and Andy and I both play keyboards and our guitars at the same time. Brad plays, he's got a sampling machine and drums and some electronics back there, and we just go for it. It's a new thing every night. You never know what's going to happen.
And you guys all collaborate on doing the writing, and what about vocals and stuff like that?
Yeah, I do some background vocals live, but on the record we all do a little background singing.
Do you miss being back in St. Louis? How do you like Las Vegas?
Oh, we love it here. Absolutely. I'd love to spend some more time. Unfortunately, we have to fly to Houston tonight, but yeah.
Well, you might save some money doing that.
Exactly. I'd be up on top of that thing, doing the thing.
Right.
I did it like 8 times in a row.
So you're here in Vegas for how long?
About 6 more hours, I think.
So how long have you been here now?
About 3 hours.
About 3 hours. Have you guys had any sleep?
No.
Haven't had no sleep. So, and what's your schedule like now? Where are you guys going this summer? I know you're touring. Where are you guys going from here?
After we finish up 2 weeks with Train, we do about 2 weeks in the Southeast with Creed and Seven Dust, and then we go out in June with 3 Doors Down.
That's great, because Creed's one of the groups that we also were the first to play here. And are you married?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Do you have children?
1 son.
Do they travel with you?
Not at this point, but maybe someday. He's going to be my roadie.
He's going to be your roadie? Don't bring him to Vegas. He might lose some money, really. But this is the entertainment capital of the world, and these guys are superstars all over the world. You can buy their records here in Vegas and anywhere you go. Tune into the radio stations. You can hear them, but most of all, tune into my show because you can see them right here live like I did. Also, be sure to tune in to www.nightbeatinlasvegas.com. They will be featured on our website, and you can see them there just as well. We're going to go right now and take a break, and after this we're going to have the luxury of going backstage with these superstars and see how they perform live. And gentlemen, I really would like to thank you for being on my show.
Thank you.
Superstar, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, and we'll be right back with more of Night Beat in Las Vegas.
Hello everybody and welcome to Thrash Zone, where tonight I have another kick-ass edition of Thrash Zone for all of you prepared. I have famous producer to the stars, John Dote from Las Vegas, Nevada, who has produced artists such as Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Carlos Santana. He's written television themes to like Hawaii 5-0, you name it, this guy's done it. He has his own live show in Las Vegas that he hosts. And he also recorded my very first album in 1987 called Infernal Forces. And he believed in me back then, and I absolutely love that guy, and I am returning the favor for him by giving him some advertising. And I have on the phone right now live famous producer to the stars and the guy that gave me my very first recording in my career. I love him for it. John Dote, how are you, my friend?
What is going on, Billy, baby? It's been years. As a matter of fact, how many years ago was it? 20?
30. 30.
Oh, my God. You're making me feel like a dinosaur, man. I can already, I'm picking up my tail. It's great to talk to you. I'll tell you, a lot of things have happened in the past 30 years. I mean, unbelievable, man.
Yeah, your career has taken off.
Sorry, go ahead.
Your career has taken off, John.
Yeah, actually, a lot has happened, man. I got picked up by Michael Jackson's crew back in the Bay Area after doing the Hawaii 5-0 theme and the Hooked on themes, all that era. And then, during the acid days and the mushroom days with Greg Allman and Miles and Santana, we all grew out of that. We're in our different directions. And then when all the distributors and the record labels left the Bay Area and they went overseas or moved down to LA,
then of course the Bay Area just died out. So I decided, hey, you know, I'm also a performer. I decided to move to Vegas, and that's when I was doing Michael Jackson's Bad album, promoting that, and still handling Janet Jackson's What Have You Done For Me Lately. I know it's a completely different format from what you guys do, but hey, it's history, and I'm happy to be that my name's in, my pictures are in his history books.
Yeah.
And then I broke out here with my own TV show, which was 10 years in the making, called Night Beat in Las Vegas with John Dote. And I was all the major stars. Vegas is basically nothing but all these hit artists, hit names, like the Santanas that I used to work with and perform with in the Bay Area. Well, they're all here now, and they all followed me, and I promoted all these guys live, including a lot of heavy metal groups for all these major record labels, and it's just been an exciting, non-stop, unpredictable, up and down, left and right, east and west, north and south type of life, and you know, and it's exciting. I mean, I'm blessed to be able to do 1/10 of 1% of the population will ever attempt to get a chance to do or live in life.
Oh, for sure. You know, John, you have had such a blessed career and a life, and I want you to know I am so proud of you myself, and I've actually followed your career over the last 30 years, even though we didn't keep in touch. You know, but you know, I want everyone that's listening. You know, back in 1987, I believe it was, I was a punk kid, and I lived in Belmont, California, and of course,
where I grew up and went to school at Colomon High School.
Yeah. And John, you had a Penthouse Records located on El Camino, right?
Right, I had the recording studio, Penthouse Records. That was at, oh gosh, it was 1608 El Camino Real. Right?
Yep.
You know, right there, and the pizza shop was, I can't remember the name of the pizza parlor that I used to go to.
Oscielo's.
Yeah, and then you remember Lions Restaurant?
Yeah.
I used to go to Lions Restaurant and order the Parmesan, whatever. No, geez, we're talking music. It was they had the best Italian. I was hooked on it. I would go there every day and have the same meal. I was hooked. What do you call that meat? Geez, it's Italian, and I got all this Italian in me, and I can't
linguiça?
It was delicious. Take my word for it. Spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I wanted to finish that thought, John, so people understand our connection. So here I am. I was just starting out as a singer in a thrash metal band. This was like my second or third band that I was in, and this particular one was called Infernal Forces. And Rob Blasini, our drummer, is the one that introduced us. And I remember walking in, and I'm like, John Dote, man, who is this guy, you know? And of course you had that record out, The Hero from Zero, is that what it was?
That's what it was.
That's what it was, man. And I just remember seeing this crazy guy with this outrageous gold chain around his neck and these boots and everything. I was like, and this guy's recording our album? But you know, that of course, I didn't know who you were at that time. You know, I was just a punk kid, you know. But you gave me my first break, John. And you took us in, you know, and you said, yeah, I'll spend the time and we'll do a live recording, you know, for your demo. And it was a big learning experience for me, you know, and it impacted me so much, John, that I've never forgotten you for it.
Wow, you're giving me chills, brother.
Well, you know, it's all true, man. And like I was saying, I followed your career over the years, and I was going, man, check out John, you know, he's still going at it. Now he's got a TV show in Vegas he's doing, you know. Now he's putting up these gold albums on his wall, you know, platinum albums. I mean, it was just, you were just doing great, and I was just, you know, I used to tell all my friends, hey, man, that guy gave me my start, you know.
That is for sure. That is for sure. You saw it. Did you ever put that on vinyl?
No, I never did, but you know, back in those days we should have, because that's when people were listening to vinyl. I do have it. Somehow, John, it has survived 30 years. because the master tapes to that, I believe, are gone.
Really?
Yeah, I believe so.
Do you still have that music?
I do, and I'm going to play it right after we talk.
Oh, that is incredible. Well, let me tell you, the past couple of years I've been producing for American Idol.
Yeah.
And they come in from New York, and they come into my studio, and I produce them and guide them in the right direction, tell them what they need to do when they get up in front of America, in front of the world. So I've had a good thing doing that. But you know, I got to tell you something. We go back so far that I got to bring something up on your show, because this is going to be something, it's a novelty. It's not a hard rock thing, but back when I was working with you, I was being approached by Elmo and Patsy, who now have the classic hit Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer.
Oh, yeah.
And they came into my studio, and they played me their record, and they showed me their pictures. They were on the front cover of all these major newspapers, the Chronicle, the Examiner, the Chicago Tribune, the New York Times, doing all these protests about contaminating the earth and blah, 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 which they made some noise. So they came into me and they gave me this record, Grandma Got Ran Over. I said to them, look, you guys are lovely people, you're wonderful, but I got to pass on this record because it's a piece of shit.
Oh, no, did you pass on it?
I passed on the record.
Oh.
I'm thinking, you know, Silent Night, or,
Yep.
chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Instead, they're bringing me this novelty record I never heard before called Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer. I go, good Jesus, that's the last thing I'm into is country, too.
Yeah.
So you destroyed the record. Well, so after I passed on the records and told them they were lovely, they left my studio, and every other day I would be getting these front newspaper things of them on the front cover, and then 4 years later, they got signed to a major distribution deal, and that record became a classic. I fell off my chair. I hit my head on the ground. I passed out. I twitched. I think the paramedics woke me up after that one.
Did you knock your gold chain off your neck?
No, the chain actually choked me. Even the chain was saying, "What the hell did you do, passing on this record?"
Now, I want to tell everyone, John, listening around the world right now on digitalrevolutionradio.com, that John Dote, when we're talking about wearing a gold chain, we're not just talking about some, $100 gold chain. This guy wears huge gold chains that are worth thousands of dollars, man.
I weigh a ton.
I mean, you are the epitome of Las Vegas, baby.
That's what they said in the newspapers.
Man, John...
I don't know if you heard the radio interview on KLAB, but that's exactly the same words that Demetrius Karamabella said. He said that the same word, the epitome.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I can't hide from anybody in this town.
No, you know what? And I can't hide from anybody here either, man. I go down to Walmart and I got someone knocking on my shoulder, you know what I mean?
And I gotta tell you, I'm proud of you that you stuck with it, man. You sound great on the air. Obviously, you're following in my footsteps, and you're doing a lot better of a job than I did.
Well, I don't know about that, but thank you very much, sir, because you have my utmost
It's coming
respect.
from me, brother, so it's okay. It's legitimate.
I know you're solid, John. John, you also, man, you've been on Billboard magazine covers. Can you tell us what it was like working with Michael and Janet Jackson?
Well, my father My first publishing contract I signed was when I was 18 years old by the manager of Creedence Clearwater Revival, Max Weiss, whose brother, Sal Weiss, was an attorney. So it was a great in-house combination because you needed an attorney in those days. And so it was great. Because he was also behind Linda Ronstadt and Creedence Clearwater Revival, he understood the music and the production side. And then, of course, the legal side. But then Max told me, until you get a hit record, he really told me something special. He said, you ought to get your foot in the door and start promoting for the major record companies. And he goes, you'd be great. They know your name. They'll give you their biggest name product, like Michael, whoever, Janet, whatever, Santana, whatever the case may be. And because of my father, who was head of MCA for 20 years, who was a radio promoter, knew how to get into the radio stations, and I grew up watching all these program directors come to our house for dinner. We would fly around the country to all these various radio stations to get our records played. Like, it was great, being able to walk into K101 radio, FRC radio, and, get the record played, which is what I did for these major acts. Max taught me that. He said, because that's just going to back you up if your music, because Max at that time, which I couldn't, said you can't sing. Well, if Max were alive, I'd roll him over in his grave along with Beethoven. That's the way that I can sing now. Back then, I was terrible. I would have all, work with groups like Toto and have all these Santana musicians play behind me, but I would destroy my own production because I was young. I was great at writing the music and putting it together and bringing in all the right players, but I destroyed it, so I started bringing in other singers. So while I was developing my personal talent, I got into the record labels and I started promoting. That's exactly what I did. I took Max's advice when I saw what he did with Creedence, with the Creedence and Linda Ronstadt. I just said, wow, I was in awe of him. And he was an old guy we used to meet every day in San Francisco. He would buy me a plate of spaghetti because that's what I love. Meatballs and onion. He'd pick up the tab, but we would really talk about getting me into the majors. He says, John, you got to get your foot into the majors, then come back and bring your music in the back door.
Yeah.
So that's how I followed in his words. Thank you for that advice. And then, really, I hung out. When I was 18, 19, all my friends were major executives for all these major labels, and they were in their 50s, in their 60s. So these guys were varsities already. So yeah. I was like going to college when I was 12 years old.
That's the same as me, John. I was like groomed for this, like by people that were 10, 20 years older than me, and said, hey, if you're going to do show business, this is how the proper way to do it is. And I learned that, I learned that there's just sometimes you just don't cut corners and you just got to do things the right way. And it's not always the easiest way, but it's the way it's done, and it's the way that the professionals do. And, I got a lot of respect by doing it that way, and, I totally get what you mean.
I gotta tell you, Billy, and this is the beauty of doing what I was taught to do, is that along the way you get into you learn about all these different genres and styles of music. So it takes you like around the world, even in one room, because today you're going to promote Michael. Today tomorrow you're going to promote Janet. Then the next day you're going to promote Santana. What a jolt.
Yeah.
Then the next day you're going to promote Black Sabbath. Woo. So it's like you're just like going through all these doors, like a rolling door, just just going round and round, and you're just like stopping in a room. You're walking in, and it's the big hard rock sound. Then you come back and you get into that glass dome, and you stop. It stops, opens the door, and then all of a sudden they're doing reggae, and then they close the door, and that thing turns. And do you know what I'm saying?
I sure do. Yeah, you know, and as you know, as those doors close, another one opens, and you know your experience gets bigger, and you know, and you learn more, you get more connections. John, man, I've been doing this ever since we met 30 years now. I totally get what you mean, man, because you know, like I was groomed, like I was saying, just like you were, by big players, you know, back in the day, man. And yeah, and I'm just, yeah, I'm so glad that I'm able to, you know, talk to you again, because, you know, I never thought I'd talk to you ever. I mean, even though I always followed your career, and I would tell people, hey, man, that's the guy that helped me. You know, I never thought that I'd actually be able to talk to you, because, you know, when people move on, they start getting big, you know, you don't always get to see them anymore.
You really opened up a coffin on that one. and you found me. You found me alive.
Yes, I did. And that was the best part, John. I was like, man, is he even alive? Of course you are. And you're sounding great, John. And you're still the happy guy that I remember. And very lovable, very likable. And so what are you doing these days?
Well, right now what I'm doing is I'm producing local acts for major television shows to break them out, secure them with record deals, but they need the exposure. So again, back in the day when you and I were growing up, that was a matter of getting it on radio. And really, you know, the industry's changed way from what we were doing.
Oh, it's a whole different game.
It's a whole new different scene. It's a whole new different look. It's a whole new different feel. It's technical. I don't really care for the sound today because it's not real, like the way that you and me play the instruments. You know, I mean, it's just not, you know, with the Pro Tools, and the editing and what they're doing and what they're saying and what they're talking about. It's deep for them, but it doesn't grab people like me that are from the old school, which are going back again.
Yeah.
I had visited, again, I'm back in that dome where I had visited every style of music, including what's going on right now. Some of it is okay, but it's not the real deal. As a matter of fact, Santana was just on TV the other day. He was saying the exact same thing. So for guys, for our era, and believe me, we grew up in the biggest era of all time, and that was during the Beatles, and then some of the Who, and where your music comes from, and where my preference of music comes from.
Yes.
But and today they try to go back and use a piece of that, but it just doesn't work. It sounds fake. It doesn't sound real. And they're just, they're kids now, just got their own style. It's what impresses their friends in school. And, I'm just so glad that the days of driving around with a big boom box with the bass that goes on for miles and miles like a siren doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
I'm so glad those days are over with. But Billy, let me ask you this, because you're a DJ, and I know that a lot of people approach you, try to get them, airplay, and
sure.
And I heard your radio station, I heard your format. There was some things I really, really liked. It sounded like they come from Europe. But what do you think? What's your opinion on today's music? I mean, if somebody were to walk in with the type of music that I was just referring to, do you have a program for that, or do you just stick with your format with what you're doing?
Well, I try not to box myself into, my forte is heavy metal, thrash metal, right? But I don't always stay in the box. I don't want to be, just trapped there. So
your ears wide open, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm always looking to expand the show, open my mind, and and not just be like that old man that just won't listen and won't budge. You know, I always like to stay open. You know, like you were saying, you know, I'm from a different time. You know, actually after the recording that we done, after I you know, was done with my schooling, you know, I went to college and I learned radio and television broadcasting. I learned how soundboards worked. I had to learn every little piece that was in that board, how it worked, you know, everything there. Yeah, and I was trained by, you know, top guys that worked for ABC, you know, and stuff like that. And, you know, and I'm very fortunate that I had that opportunity and am able to, you know, use that in today's technology. Because like you said, everybody nowadays can just sit at home and use Pro Tools, and, you know, they come out with these recordings. Now, what do I think of it? Well, you know, I kind of like those days where, you know, you had your sound man and he was working those boards and doing the mix and all that. And, you know, I like the sound, how fat it was, how genuine it was. I mean, it's, you know,
very warm.
Yeah, you know, and I'm not knocking, you know, today's artists by any means, and those that do use Pro Tools at home. I think it's okay for the poor man, you know, that now he can, you know, put his music out, and that's really what the bottom line is artists want to get their music heard, and that's where people like you and I come in. You know, we have all these connections, and we know all these people, and we have the means to make it all connect, and, you know, hey, meet this person, meet that person, whatever. And you know, there is some artists that I have my eye and my ear very closely held to. It's no secret that one of them is Mechanism. They're a band from Tacoma, Washington. I think, John, that they could seriously be the next big thing, you know, in metal. They got the sound, they got the heart. They got the talent, the skill, and, you know, and they are very genuine people, man, and they put in the time and the hard work that you have to do to succeed in this business. Because if anybody is thinking that their music's so great that they're just going to use Pro Tools, put this crap out that no one buys anymore anyways, and, you know, make $1 million, well, they don't know music, because those days are over. You know,
exactly.
No one buys it.
But, you know, I mean, I got to tell your listeners, for one, that you may have listeners, and listen to this one, you may have listeners, but because you're behind the scenes and you're more of a listener than even your listeners combined, because of the position that you're in.
Yes. Yeah.
That makes sense.
It does.
And you know, Billy, one thing I got to tell you, for your artists that are listening, that are trying to make a break in music, because I think that's what your listeners probably want to hear. I may be wrong, or I may be right, but I know half of your listeners would agree that they want to know, hey, what is it? How can I make it? How do I get a record deal? And how do I get heard? And how do I get discovered? Well, bands and artists, let me tell you this. Just like Billy said, it does take hard work, but you don't have to be a band to have a hit record. What you got to do, folks, is this. Is if you feel, and your friends feel, and your audience feels, and you have a backing of people that will buy 20,000 of your CDs, and you can prove with the receipts, okay, that you sold 20,000 units, that will get you a record deal. You call Billy, let Billy know that you have the receipts. Then I want to see any documentation on any radio play that you get, including through Billy's station, because from my understanding, he gets heard over 100 countries.
Yes, sir.
In the world, and I can only imagine that one of those countries might be China, so it'd be funny listening to myself talk in Chinese.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? And you know, and I want to tell all our listeners too that you guys that are artists, listen to this man, because his word is gold, and his time is a lot of money. And I'm telling you, this man has been around the block. He knows all of the big artists. He's done it all in music. So if he tells you that's how you got to do it, trust me, that's how you do it. Don't cut corners. Do it just like that.
And you know, and it's not expensive to do. And furthermore, if you guys, before you reach the level of even having to press, now keep in mind, listeners, you can't sell 20,000 units with only 1,000 pressings.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, so, you know, it's not expensive to do. It doesn't have to be a 4-color front. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but the music has to be in the groove, the mix, the vocals, in tune. It's really got to be, and think of incorporating some commercial hooks into your music that'll make it appealing to people per se that may not be completely into the hard thing, but you'll grab them. They'll listen to something, that a hook that you have, and that'll draw them to you. So you really got to go in the studio, and what's going to make you most effective and successful is the hooks that you put together in your music. Keep your songs 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes maximum. And if you come across, Billy, a song that sounds in your format that's got those hooks, here's what I will do for your listeners and listeners. Listen to this one. You submit your music to me, and I will evaluate your record. There's no charge for me to do that going through the radio station, through Billy's radio station. And also, if I decide and determine you can submit as many songs, you can submit them online through email, MP3, however you want to submit it. You don't have to mail it, save yourself the postal. Just send it to me, or if it's on a website, send me the link to your website with your photos. That way I can look at you, listen to your music. You can send me as many songs as you want. If I hear something that I like that grabs me by the nuts,
yes,
okay, then I, for a small fee, will bust it out nationwide.
Wow.
300 radio stations, and I am talking all hit radio stations through iHeartRadio. And I will get the real top varsity players, 300 nationwide, to give me a 0 to 5-star rating on this with their call letters, their contact name and number, what dial their radio station is on for verification. And if you come back between a 3.5 to 4-star rating, you will get a record deal.
John, I love you, man. That is fucking beautiful. Excuse my language. And you know
what? And you know what? That
wow.
If you haven't sold the 20,000, be prepared to have them pre-pressed so that when I do bust it on the radio, then the radios, I can take those 20,000, give them to those jocks, program directors, and get your records on a rotation where they're playing it every hour because John Dote said it's a hit record.
That's right, baby. John, you know what? I got to cut this interview because, you know what? Honestly, my phone's dying. No, the phone. I'll talk to you all night. Are you kidding? This is valuable information, but my phone's going to die, man.
It's just getting too exciting, and it's okay to be a little more excited.